Sean, firstly, thanks for joining us. We'd start by asking if you enjoyed your summer, but it doesn't really seem like you managed to get too much of a break. A total of 10 new arrivals in the summer for the women's team. Are you happy with the business that you managed to get done?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said there, it was an extremely busy time. I think probably the busiest window in the 3 seasons that I've been here, certainly. But very happy with who we brought in. I think not only we bring in quality, but I think we've brought in really good people too. There's a real blend in terms of the players that we've brought in and ages, experiences. But yeah, very happy with the business we've done, and certainly Eva certainly given that indication as well.
It's probably fair to say there were some question marks posed at us when the departures list was obviously announced towards the end of last season, but it certainly does feel like we've managed to replace that and brought some real quality in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's always going to be question marks when there's such a high turnover of players, but it's no secret that we've been on a transition of from semi-professional to professional, and during that time, and naturally there's going to be high turnovers of players. Players are going to leave, players are going to come in, but going back to your original question, I think we certainly feel we've recruited well and brought in a lot of quality, which is going to replace a fair bit of quality and also good people that left. But in order to keep progressing, we need to ensure that we're recruiting well, and certainly our processes, etc., allow us to do that.
It was another historic season last season, back-to-back fourth place finishes, a first ever victory over a top three side in a Scottish Cup final as well. I suppose when you speak about turnover, it's important first of all to build on that, but also when you get to next summer, I suppose it's key that we don't have to bring in so many players next season.
Yeah, and I think you can see by our approach now in terms of contract lengths and the dealings that we've done is that we're looking to build now for seasons to come. We don't want to be going into every window, having a high turnover, but I think it was always going to be the case with us being on a transitional journey in terms of going from semi-professional to professional, as I said. But like you said, you look at the experience that we've brought in through the door, players like Lauren Wade, Lisa Robertson, Emma Brownlee's obviously still here, so I think that experience is going to be pivotal for the team around the other players that we've recruited, because there's a real, as I touched on, a real blend of players. I think we've got young, exciting players that are coming into their prime years. So if we look at, for instance, Bailey and Ailey, who've signed from Aberdeen, who've been standouts in the league for many seasons, and then you throw in Jackie, who's coming from the States, and I think is another exciting prospect where they've got their best years ahead of them, and I think that's pivotal to what we're trying to achieve here. We want to have a nucleus and a core of a squad where we don't have to be having to recruit 7, 8, 9 players every window. Naturally, you won't get them all right, and we will have to go in and obviously recruit 2 or 3. That's football, but for me it's important now that we have that nucleus and core of the squad where we can, as you touched on, build every season.
It's important obviously to mention the academy as well. We've got the likes of Brodie Greenwood, Jessica and Aaron husband, Beth Rennie, all signing their first professional contracts with the club. Very special moments also for them, but that's definitely something that's important to recognise.
I think so, and I think it's key, especially the investment that the club's made in the academy as well. I certainly believe that our academy is the best in Scotland, and ultimately, again, talking about longevity, you want to reward those young players and that they want to reach their potential here. We don't want to be letting young players just walk out the door. We want to have them here. We want to have them as part of our next journey, which is ultimately to go and challenge the top 3. But those players all deserve those contracts. They've shown for during this period where, if you look at Addy and Beth, they've came on the journey with us and have certainly progressed in terms of their own development in all aspects of their game, technically, tactically, physically, and they deserve every bit of that reward.
Speaking about obviously the Scottish Cup final there and the sort of end goal then, if you like, do you allow yourself to dream about a bit of silverware then? Because ultimately that will be the aim.
Yeah, I think ultimately the manager sets the expectations and the goals, but I think if I look at it from a recruitment point of view, I certainly believe we've assembled one of the best squads in the league. If you look at our signings, like I touched on in terms of Bailey being the top goal scorer, Lauren Wade over 60 caps for Northern Ireland, and then you look at Kerry and Jolie, who are also on the international scene. I just think it all bodes well. and certainly the long-term ambition, I think, has to be silverware, has to be challenging for those European spaces. That's what a club like Hearts has to be the goal and the ambition.